Buenos días, bonjour, ohayou gozaimasu. Es lunes, nous sommes lundi, getsuyobi desu yo. Metacognition Monday, and we are talking about how your brain works. Now, this is something I heard from A.J. Juliani, who's an author and an educator. He spoke to the Riverview School District one time, and I made a lot of notes from what he said. And he was talking to teachers, but I want you to understand all the secret stuff he was saying to teachers, okay? So this was how people learn 4 cognitive processes every teacher should know. So he talked about attention, encoding, storage, and retrieval, all stuff we've been talking about. And then he talked about strategic compliance. And strategic compliance is when you're doing something just so you'll have good grades. And you do not retain what is learned because that's all you care about is the grades. I want to put it to you that you've wasted your time then, because you put in some amount of time trying to get good grades. If you don't retain what's learned, you've wasted your time. Then he talked about ritual compliance, which is you just don't want to get in trouble. Okay, so you meet the minimum requirements. The student will learn at low and superficial levels. So again, you've wasted your time. I don't want you to waste your time. Now he puts 3 things on progression, okay? Compliance that we just talked about, that extrinsic compliance or the minimal compliance. Engagement, which is where most people talk about having their students. And then empowerment, which is the next step that he talks about. So my question to you is, how do I get you to the empowerment section? And let me define these, okay? So compliance, we just saw, you're wasting your time. Engagement is where I'm working my tail off to make sure that you're paying attention to me. And empowerment is where you take matters into your own hands and you are actually doing something with everything you've learned. All right, so let's talk about engagement. Just list off some of the techniques you've seen in class, in my class, or later I'll ask you any class, things that are engaging that keep you interested in the learning, all right? And normally if you were right here in front of me, we'd be writing on the board, but you can just go to Microsoft Teams and you can write down some of the stuff. I'm going to pause for a second so you can think about it. I'll tell you right now that much of the reason I turned to game-based learning was for this engagement piece, because games are just more interesting than if I were just lecturing at you and you were passively sitting in your seats. All right, so empowerment is where you apply the skills that you're learning through the games. Okay, and it's more you have choice over what skills you are applying in the game that we're playing. So the last thing I want to leave you with is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. All right. So I do my best to set the buffet for you. But how do I get you to take that next step to empowerment? All right. So some things that I do to try and help you get there is I try to build relevance into every single lecture. All right. If you're interested in, I've got several students in FFA, so I try to put cows into things we do. If you're interested in I don't know, the latest football game, I'm going to be trying to talk about that in the lecture. If you're interested in video games or science fiction or literature of any type, yay, I'm already on board with you. I can get you there pretty quick. But I try my best to put the things that you like into the lecture, even if I don't understand them myself. Look, I'm an old lady. I don't get some of your memes, but I try my best to make it relevant for you. I'm also, especially with this Metacognition Monday, I'm trying to show you how everything you learn in my class is going to help you in all your other classes. Okay, so you've got the relevance of, this is a memory trick that I've just learned. I can use this in math class. I can use this in science class because I have formulae to memorize. I can use this in drama. I can use it in music. I can use it in sports medicine because I have to memorize the muscles. I can use it in history because I have to memorize the capitals of all the countries. All right, so I try to give you that relevance. And the second thing I try to show you is how important this learning is, okay? It's not just about becoming fluent in Spanish or in French or in Japanese. It's, you get to think about why we do the stuff we do in America. You're reflecting back on all the things we do. You're seeing how connected the world is. You're not afraid to do a little research in another language. The world is opening up to you. You're not just limited to only things in English. You can access things now in other languages. And even if you decide you go off to college, you go off to the workforce, and you say, I'm never going to speak French or Spanish or Japanese ever again, you still see that the world is a bigger place. You still have a better appreciation for culture. And, one time I had a student come back. I saw him many years after he graduated, and he's like, you're going to be so mad at me. And I'm like, why? And he says, because I'm studying German. I'm like, why would I be mad at you for studying German? Did you not understand what I was talking about? How learning any language is like the most incredible thing you can do with your brain. So those are the two things I try to leave you with so that you will be inspired to take that next step to empowerment. So that's where I'm going to leave you today.